Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks all about my cars and trucks and SUVs, motorcycles, tennis balls, the dogs, the attitudes, life. Wow, it's overcast. Gee whiz, tell you what. There's an Ice Age TV old sticker. They just start crumbling. I wonder how my new stickers are holding up for those people who watch my channel. Hey there. Hey, good Tuesday morning there. Thanks for everybody tuning in my channel to watch me gab along and talk and share my views and ideas and craziness. That's who I am. And once again, thanks for everybody that subscribes and shares the channel and watches. I really do appreciate that, because I like to take the time each morning to share some ideas and views and thoughts that maybe relate to you and relate to me, right? So here we go, across the lot, across the gravel to the shop to get the day going with all the collection of the cars and trucks. And what do we talk about today? And I thought to myself yesterday that we had the conversation of one, because of the Harley-Davidson wanting to have the number one on everything they sell, because they're the number one, right? So I thought to myself, well, to keep that in flow with the conversations of the week, why don't we have the conversation number two? So I thought to myself, there you go. How can we take that conversation and keep it related to all the cars and motorcycles and trucks and all that good stuff? And I thought that would be pretty cool, because if you're what's the Ricky Bobby fan from the Talladega Nights, and his father, Reese Bobby, and they were out there in Cal. The Talladega Nights movie is all about the NASCAR racing, and Will Ferrell played Ricky Bobby, and his dad, Reese, would always tell Ricky that if he's not first, he's last. So I thought, boy, when you're number two, you're not number one, right? There's always a challenge with the wild dog Kiefer here, because he wants to harass others. Come on, get back. Come on, get back. Come on, get back. Go on, Ginger. Go on. And get up there. Everybody get up there. Get up there. And so anyways, it's all about the antics of the dog. What I do is I want to have a ball to play with, because he's always wanting to chew something. And we do have chewy toys. For those people who watch my channel, we do have all those hard nylon chewy things. And I just buy boxes of tennis balls just to keep him entertained. And I don't let him eat them. A lot of people think I let him eat them. No, he crunches them and then we throw them away. So here you go, Kiwi boy. Can we get it up there? He did. There you go. That'll make you keep content for a while without eating my office up. But anyway, sorry for the distraction here on the morning routine. So I thought the two wheels. I thought to myself, how appropriate could it be that we're going to talk about number two versus number one, is because where did the real movement in mankind come from? If you think about the Greek times, just the true beginnings of mankind here on Earth, how did he propel himself from his two legs? I mean, for those that have two legs and two arms, that's how we were designed. How do you go faster besides running? But how would you move faster? And so my assumptions would be that the early beginnings was mankind captured animals. Such would be, in my thoughts, a horse that enabled him to move at a quicker speed to get places and to travel. And I think most people here would be on the same page. Yeah, the horse, the donkeys, the mules, the elephants, the camels, those are all creatures that I guess helped the two-legged man get around and move quicker, and also saved him energy from wanting to travel and having gear and weight and carts, and the list goes on and on and on. So, but I think to myself, where's the true beginnings of what we all now have is wheels underneath our bodies that enable us to go very quick and very fast. And so you'd have to assume that there was one wheel invented, but how did mankind utilize the one wheel to two wheels? And my thoughts would be the chariot. It'd be the chariots of back in the Roman Greek times. And if you read much up on the charioteers, the NASCAR of the day of these wild men racing these horses, typically it was four horses, a team of four horses that you were on a two-wheel cart, a chariot, and you're now racing around a track or whatever it may have been at that time to see who was the more experienced and talented sportsman back in that day. And it was a very dangerous sport. But you just have to say to yourself that wouldn't that be probably the true beginnings of the speed of mankind was the chariot by using horses? And, once again, I don't know. I haven't done great research and looked into this. It's so funny. Every morning, the big excavator goes up the road because we have these dirt roads up here in my area. And when the winter months come in and we get major snows, those roads just get destroyed. They have to regrade all the roads. Instead of just paving the road over, they won't do it. They just continue to spend all the money to put gravel and to lay down more, or just to grade the road. All right. So anyways, so it's the two-wheel conversations and how, once again, keeping the theme. Went from number one yesterday, talking about, number one. Now number two, and it's the Harley theme. I think that's a great thing to do. And I pulled the bike out. I went through the little bit of effort last night just to pull out my bikes. Pulled the nice Dark Horse out. Where's my Whipple Supercharger, Mr. Whipple Man, to get that put on. But anyways, pull these two bikes out because I thought, what is the difference? What is the real difference? And we talked about this numerous times, and it's the big talk of the media machine, the video content, is this brand new Harley-Davidson Lowrider ST. And the CVO, and so I shouldn't say lowrider, the Road Glide CVO-ST, but it has a lowrider look to it. That's what's intrigued me to pull out both of these bikes last night and start measuring them. And in so many ways, the one bike looks more aggressive, a little more lower profile, or does it? And even when you're kind of looking at the front of them, in some ways, just because of the way the bikes are sitting, the black bike, the CVO-ST, looks in some ways taller than the non-ST. So I got my tape measure out last night and I started measuring. And for the record, they're exactly the same. Everything's the same on the seat height and the handlebar height. And, it's the same bike for the most part, with the exception of the different wheels, the different front rotors, the different highway bar, crash bar, I call them, the different fairing, I should say the different windscreen, the different mirrors. In some ways, you'd have thought they put that mirror, that type of design there on this bike here, the different handlebar grip, the different handle grips, the different handlebars, which I talked about that yesterday, the different air cleaner, the different front fender, carbon fiber, this, what is this? Is this metal? I guess, I don't know anymore. The different way the air cleaner protrudes, the different design of the engine. This is the VVT, the variable valve timing. That's the cammed motor. The non-foot pegs in the back of this one because there's no where for somebody to sit because it has a cowl, rear cowl, carbon fiber, aesthetic look to it. The seats are really the exact same seat, just different stitching, a different look, the theme on it. The floorboards are different. I've talked about that. These are much shorter. These are much longer. This has the heel shifter included. The heel shifter, for anybody out there isn't what I mean, is when you go to shift your bike, here's your up, okay, but you can use your rear heel to push it up to make it so you can shift up. So they call it the heel shifter. If you want to be Mr. Badass and pick your leg up and put your rear heel on it and kick it down to go up your gears. That doesn't have that. But you see over here to the side, what's interesting is this is a little bit more comfortable, I should say floorboard in some ways, because one thing you notice in these motorcycles is you put your foot, when you're going down the road here, you gotta be careful because you get your foot like kind of up in here and you get into an emergency situation. You gotta kick this foot out and then hit this brake. This bike here, it's debatable, but let's just see how it looks. You're probably gonna have your foot more like this here. Okay, so you're just gonna move your foot a little bit to hit the brake. Or you're gonna have your foot here. So it's a little better reaction time. Once again, the risers, different handlebar versus these handlebars, They're much longer and no risers. This has the heated grip. So the handlebars are wider, but they're not. It's the heated grip, this little end here, versus over here, to enable you to have the heated grip button, because this bike doesn't have heated grips. So the bike is a little wider, but it's not. It's just because of those cap ends. So then you go to the rear shocks, the Showa. One gentleman's getting a kick out of how I pronounce that. Rear gas-filled shocks, which just doesn't have that setup. And then you have, of course, the passenger seat in this bike, and you don't. And then you have the carbon fiber gas tank cover. It's pretty stout right there. So about the same. So then, what I got to think of myself is supposedly this motorcycle is 25 pounds lighter than this motorcycle. So you think between the two motorcycles, how is that? I mean, what did they accomplish? So the first thing you say to yourself is, well, number one, there's no rear passenger seat. Is that passenger seat, an extra 2 pounds, 3 pounds heavier? Is that one that much lighter? I would have to say it is. The floorboards aren't as big, so there's the shavings on weight. On the highway bars, crash bars, I can't see how those would be lighter. I just can't see how this here is that any lighter than that crash bar. Then you have this big ass air cleaner versus this one over here. You like this one. I mean, I can't see that one is any. I guess you could say maybe this one's a little heavier. Debatable. Look at the wheels. So is that where it is? Is the mag wheel where you get the big weight savings because of the spoke wheel? Is it the creative disc for your front brakes that they're notched out? There's metal cut out of those disc brakes, or the disc I should say. So that shaves weight. Is that carbon fiber front fender a lot lighter than this fender? I guess that's where you'd get some weight savings. Now this bike here, I put these rear bars on to protect the saddlebags, so that you wouldn't be able to compare that because that's on factory. I mean, with the risers here, I just can't see how the handlebars per se are any different. So for me, and then the gas shocks. Look at the gas shocks. In some ways, it says more. That was heavier. So it's kind of befuddling to me in some ways on how there's 25 pounds lighter. So you have to look at the carbon fiber treatment. Is that the big weight savings? That's the big weight savings versus that versus this. Is the exhaust, which has carbon fiber tips. I mean, that's not the factory exhaust, but it's exhaust lighter. Only thing I can figure out has to be the wheels. I guess it'd be the wheels, front rotor, the carbon fiber stuff, but I don't know. Where is it really? What really changes the big weight differences in these motorcycles? But anyways, the most thing that's intriguing is these bikes are exactly the same bike, with the exception of the handlebars, the motor. As far as the size tires and wheels, exactly the same, just different style. So, and that's why people are reaching out to me and saying, hey, how does this ST feel versus this here? Now, yes, this bike supposedly, because it's the canned motor, has more power. And for me, the bike definitely feels lighter. It definitely feels more powerful. The footboards make it a little kind of neater. The handlebar setup is really cool. So the bike feels in the rear suspension, but it has the same front inverted forks on both bikes. So the bike's a very fun, fast, confident motorcycle compared to the last generation. But this bike here is every bit of this bike here to a degree. So if anybody out there is fixated and they're going to have the CVO ST, I would say, you're going to have just as much fun as the CVO, because this is a really fun upgraded technology motorcycle that Harley did a good job. And if you really watch my channel, I talk about the differences of like the Indian Challenger Elite that I had compared to the new CVO, then the previous generation CVO, which I do have a previous generation CVO sitting on my trailer, and I've had a few of them. So I've gotten riding time in these to kind of tell the difference. Not that I just go borrow a bike for the day and then, I can just kind of go from that. I've had riding time in the last generation of these bikes. So the real point to anybody out there watching my channel is I wouldn't be the person saying that if I can't get the ST, I don't want the product. If you're looking for the ride fun factor, you're going to have every bit as much fun on this bike here as that bike over there. If you want, excuse me, if you want the aesthetics, if you want the look, if you want, if you want the theme, if you want, this is a really cool looking bike. So yes, for me, would I buy that bike over this bike? I would, absolutely. I would prefer to have this bike. But for anybody out there that's fixated on thinking that this bike here isn't every bit as fun as that bike, I think that's a big mistake. I think you would be wrong to tell somebody that, because this is an incredibly fun motorcycle. I mean, it really is. And I call it the muscle car bike. I mean, I really do. I just really feel like this is the muscle bike. And I've talked about it so many times about how the Indian Challenger is more of the refined, sophisticated, bigger. I mean, I just didn't really realize how much bigger that Challenger motorcycle footprint is. And, I'll tell you straight up, if you're a big guy, I mean, I will say this, if you're a big guy, you're probably more comfortable on the Indian Challenger. It has more space for you. The handlebars are wider, the seating, I mean, the reach, I mean, you really are. I mean, so for anybody out there, and for me as a YouTuber, I don't want to be this guy that just starts saying, only because I have Harley now is a better product. That would be foolish. Indian has a great product. I did not sell my Indian Challenger because I didn't like the product and I didn't think it was a good product. That's not what it's about. It's just me, the guy that has an addiction to buy the latest, greatest things, that drives my, things of letting things go and buying things. I mean, if you really watch my channel, you'd see I had two GT500s a year ago. I had a 2020 GT500 and I had a 2022 Heritage Edition GT500. Why would I sell those only in the end to pick up a Dark Horse Mustang 2024 new model, new body, and another Mustang GT non-Dark Horse? Why would I do that? Well, it's just because in so many aspects, the GT500s were the more fun, faster cars. They are. But I had my day with them. I had fun with them, and I moved on. That's just who I am. And I just knew that the new latest, greatest Mustang would come out, and I'd be on the page that I need to have one of those. So I just felt like it was time to let those other cars go and prepare for the future. Now, if you kind of talk about the two conversations, if you look at who I am, it goes beyond two. But think about this. Here's two Ford Mustangs. I just told you I had two GT500s. If you're really watching my channel and you really follow me and listen to me and see all the antics that I do, you'll see that I just recently had 4 Mopar products. 2 Challengers and 2 Chargers, only but to sell one of the Chargers to pick up this 37 Raptor. But if you look at my collection behind the truck here, there's another Challenger. So I have 2 Challengers. It's the twos. I used to have 2 Chargers. Now keep in mind, there's totally different, products, meaning this is the Scat Pack, non-Hellcat package. Looks like a Hellcat, but it's not a Hellcat. This is the same thing. Looks like a Hellcat, but it's not a Hellcat. So it's the 2. It's the 2. I have 2 of these, 2 of that. The Jeeps are over there. My wife just left, but I have 2 Jeeps. I used to have 2 Rams. When I get to the Ford F-150 truck, good Lord, well, how many do I have? F-150, 1, 2, technically 3. There's the race truck over there. There's 4. I mean, if you want to say the F-150 series. Oh, wait a second. I have 2 Broncos. It's the twos. The twos. That's all. So here you go. Here is the race truck. Now, I have 2 tractors. If you go back here, I have 2 zero-turn mowers. It's like, I'm getting all coughed up and choked up. I need some water. Drinking coffee, it kind of gets you going in the morning, but good Lord. It's just, geez, the birds are back. I'm dreading the next few months. Once it starts to be like March, all these freaking birds move back in my barn. That's a very challenging time for me in my life. So you go to the Honda Goldwing, and what do you have? You have two. I have two Honda Goldwings. Yeah, I mean, so those that watch my channel, they know these things. So there's a Honda Goldwing. The Indian product, well, I'm really down, which is incredible, to the lowest amount of Indians in since 2020, where I literally have gotten rid of most of my Indians. And what's that all about? Yeah, right. What's that all about? But if you look at my collection out here in my car trailers and my motorcycle trailers, you're going to see that it's the two story. Two. What is that all about, right? I mean, so, but you think about life. In today's world, it's getting really weird. But typically, in our world we live in, you have a man and wife relationship or whatever. But it usually takes two to kind of make things work. And you usually have, in business, two to kind of run the company. You usually have like a president, vice president. It gets more complicated than that. But here we go. So what's in here? So in here, you're going to see my second Honda Goldwing. I mean, so two. Yeah. There's a second, number two, right? What's that all about, right? What is the Iceman's thing about all this addictions to having two of two? And I used to have like two Jeep Wranglers. I mean, it just doesn't end on my, what drives you want to have really the same thing? What is that all about? I mean, sincerely. And I get all that. You're driving kind of like the same vehicle, but just a different like package. So in here, you got the CVO Road Glide. And look at the handlebars. See how they're crunched in? Look at that difference. But look here, this has what Harley did in-house, their gas-filled shocks. So, but my understanding is the guy that owned this bike, he had those put on. He did not, it did not come that way. But look at the air cleaner compared to my air cleaner. It'd be a great thing if I can get this bike out and have all three of the CVOs. And there's the Indian Chief Bobber, which has barely been ridden. But what happens with me, that's a card. That's a card in the deck of my antics of what do I buy next. This gives me things like, okay, you know what? I bought it. I had my day. And, I'm ready to move on because, I just want a different flair, different taste. And that's just kind of how it, plays out. Getting in my trailer here. Sorry for the pause, but it just gets... Oh my gosh, I can't get it on. So then you go in here, and here's two Honda CBs. So I got a CB 650 and a CB 1000. I mean, it just doesn't end on the two. Well, the one thing is now I've got a kid, but so many years ago I had the same thing, and I didn't have a daughter driving my car because she wasn't of age. But now, where I am today, for the record, you see those trucks over there? That's the kids' trucks. You see this car here? This is now, for the most part, the kid's car. You see this Bronco here? This is, for now, most of the part, the kids, and then you go to the motorcycles. CB 650, the Chief Bobber, you come in here, and the Lowrider ST. I mean, that's bikes that, she can ride. And a lot of people think that she ride these bigger bikes, but she's just not there yet. She even says that. She doesn't want to. She's not there yet. And then for the Breakout that I bought, she just can't reach the foot control. So I'd have to redo all that. But she's good. She's like, I don't want you doing all that for me, Dad. I'm good. Which, that's a great kid. She doesn't start demanding things. That's not who my kid is. I think some people think that she begs and wishes for things. No, that isn't how it works. So anyway, for the two, the two conversations, where are we going with the car industry? And I think what's really interesting is this artificial intelligence. I'm just putting all my keys up, so sorry for the delay of walking around. But what's really incredible here is this artificial intelligence is now, in my view, number two. Because you get in a car now, in the good old days, which it's turning into the good old days, you got in the car and you drove the car. Well, guess what? You're now number two. Because with all this artificial intelligence and this, full self-driving, all this technology being crammed in all these cars, you're number two. Because the car is going to basically take over everything that you've done. And people may think, sadly, it's happening. There's a bill being written in California by some whack job senator that wants to limit your speed in California in 2027. They want all the cars that are sold in California in 2027. This bill hasn't been passed. It's being proposed. But what they're saying is that you cannot go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, or what they're saying is the maximum speed you can go is 80 miles an hour. So any posted speed limit area, your car will be regulated to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. So if you're going down a 55 mile an hour highway, 65 miles an hour, that's it. It'll shut down after, shuts down at 65 miles an hour. What? I mean, this is a bill that most likely in California with all the, California, what is going on in California? It's just wow. It's just beyond believable to what you think about the laws and the way that state seems to drive the change of our country. So you're going to be second in command. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The car, the manufacturers now control it. They're even talking about how the police can have access to your car. I know everybody here is very abreast to where all this is going. I know that everybody on my channel is very, very concerned and very aware of all this technology in these cars. Of the ultimate goal is the big guy is going to control everything you do. It's going to happen. Elon Musk, this guy, I say it all the time, Elon Musk is the double-edged sword. This guy is truly, truly pushing the control of mankind like never seen. Yesterday, Elon Musk, he talked about the Neuralink, that new little superconductor chip put in somebody's brain. Somebody volunteered to have that put in their brain. It's not the first one that's been put in. Somebody out there thinks that Elon Musk is the first guy that's put a little computer chip in a brain. That's not factual. It's already been done. But for Elon Musk, it's all about the publicity. It's all about the stock price. It's all about him controlling you, because you think this through. You're going to have a computer chip put in your brain that in many ways, don't get me wrong, there's the incredible technology that's going to help others with physical, neurological problems and challenges, which that's fantastic. But at the same time, it now opens a door that they can control you. It's beyond unbelievable of where it's going. But, Elon Musk talks about how this chip in your brain will enable you to use your mind to run computers and things, which is pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. The concept, the idea of you being able to have a chip in your brain and you can look at a computer and it can start doing all the things you're thinking about without you touching it, yeah, that's incredible stuff. But at the same time, you know as well as I do, it's somebody behind the scenes that's number one, you're number two. Number one can control you, and it's going to happen with Elon Musk and the control powers of the world bodies, governing bodies, this world, pushing more agendas and more laws and bills more than ever to control mankind. Elon Musk is the forerunner and the front leader of all of this to really make this happen. And I've talked about it numerous times. That this guy's got the Optimus robot, where the robot is going to make you number two. If you don't think that's factual, but here's what's really, really kind of going in a different direction from the redundant conversations that I've had so many times about Elon Musk. Here's what's really, very interesting is more than ever, the artificial intelligence takes an incredible amount of energy. And it's being discussed more and more and more about how all these big data centers. So in Loudoun County, Virginia, where I live, from 2019 to present date, 80 new data centers have been built in my own backyard. It's the data center valley. It's mega. I've driven down the road. I've sometimes videoed just some of the areas of where that is going on. It's up near the Dulles Airport, and it's massive. And you see all these centers that have massive generators and fuel tanks. They'll have like 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 generators at these facilities for the what if the power goes off. Because what we're being told now more than ever is that the artificial intelligence, the amount of energy these supercomputers need to run this stuff is massive. And what's going on, as we've talked about on the channel, is this artificial intelligence, the generative pre-trained transformer, the chat GPT. It's growing by leaps and bounds. It's massive. People are tapping into this artificial intelligence. I could tap into it for my channel to start having it maybe make my channel different. I mean, I never have done that, but could I maybe go and start looking to use that technology to get more creative in my channel? Sure, it's possible. But the whole point is, what's going on is the artificial intelligence is really putting a huge draw on the electric grid. And unbeknownst to most people, the infrastructure for these electric companies is being forced to build out massive infrastructure to enable you to have power at your house, because so much more power is going to be taken away from you because of all this new data centers and everybody tapping into artificial intelligence. Dominion Electric right now has like $450 billion or $1 million, whatever it is. They're building offshore windmills down there near Newport News or somewhere off of the southern part of Virginia, the ocean, to start accommodating all of this Joe Biden green agenda, new laws, and all the new criteria for the emissions, CO2. Everybody here that watches my channel knows this constant rhetoric conversation, the green agenda. Point is that the massive amount of electric grid is going to have to be built out. But the challenge is they can't use coal or natural gas. But here's the thing. Many of these electric companies throughout the country are now saying, instead of shutting down a coal plant in 2025, they're going to shut it down in 2028. And some even pushing to 2030. Natural gas, this administration will not allow for a natural gas or coal plant to be built in this country. So everybody's being forced to go to the green agenda, windmill, and solar build out. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it's just incredible on how the two wheels, mankind has gone from the two wheels to present day four wheels. And for somebody out there, we all know if you want to get around, you got to go buy gas. Well, that's all changed as well, where if you're an electric guy, you can put electric charging, you put electric plug in your garage, and you can charge your car, because that isn't the charging station. Your car is a charging station. That just activates it. I've talked about that in my videos. So the point of that is, all of us are transitioning away because of all this technology of home delivery, shopping online, remote working. Our lifestyles are changing as time progresses, and these things are going to probably start collecting dust. These things aren't going to be driven as much because of all the access we have through the infotainment or information age, and the different ways you can get around. And even though there's so much talk now that you're going to be paying a carbon footprint ticket if you're going to start traveling the world in a jet. I mean, that's stuff that's going on in Europe. I'm not so sure it's here yet. But the point is, for everybody out there saying, you know what, man, I live at home and I used to drive my car to work and I used to spend $500 a month to drive freaking back and forth to work. Those days are done. I'm done with that. I don't have to do that no more. I remotely work at home. It is so awesome. I bought an electric car. It is so awesome, man. I don't go to the gas station anymore. As you start to see the gas stations dwindle, over the years, you'll start to see the small guys start to go out of business. The big guys will have the supercharging stations. They'll stick around. But the whole point of that is, what people just don't realize is your $100 electric bill is going to be $500 a month. That's where it's going. $1,000 a month. Because of this infrastructure being built out, these electric companies cannot build this stuff for free. So at the end of the day, the guy that brags about him not going to gas station anymore, and he paid 8 cents or 11 cents a kilowatt to charge his car, it's going to be 50 cents a kilowatt. It's like going to the gas station. That's where it's all going. All your electric here, everything's going to guarantee you is going to go through the roof. So for everybody that's like, oh, well, I've talked about it many times. It's just going to be, you used to spend money at the gas station. You used to give the gas station owner your wallet to go to drive. Well, now you're just going to give your wallet to electrical company. And sure, some here watch my channel go, well, get off the grid. Put a solar panel system. I don't disagree. But that costs money to do that. And then you have the different neighborhoods and different communities. That isn't just going to work everywhere. So there's going to be a draw on a lot of people that'll be forced just to suck it up buttercup and pay the higher fees for the energy that's brought to your home. And for me, I'm not the expert, I'm not the prophet, but at the same time, can anybody here tell me honestly how businesses can be spending billions of dollars, millions of dollars to build out infrastructure, and at the end of the day, they're not going to jack their rates to compensate it? What did the car industry do? What has the car industry done? The car industry is a perfect example of what has gone on since the pandemic, of them jacking their rates to the hilt on cars and trucks like never seen, and they've gotten away with it. Now, does it last? I don't know. I mean, everything's gotten so expensive. And that's why, going back to the Harleys, this was a huge eye-opener for a lot of people that have been very negative towards Harley. Is the non-CVO Harleys, the Street Glide and the Road Glide, are now the cheapest ever per se to buy, that are already well optioned out. So Harley's actually gone backwards and has priced their bikes more aggressively to be more competitive and to rattle the market. Now, something to think about in a 2-up, the most popular motorcycles per se for Harley-Davidson are the bagger bikes, and that would be the Street Glide and the Road Glide. I don't know the numbers, but is the Road Glide starting to take more precedent over the Street Glide? So for the 2-up conversations, the number 2, which is number 1, which is number 2? Years ago, my understanding was the Street Glide was number 1 and the Road Glide is number 2. Now, something to think about here for those out there that want to buy a Street Glide or a Road Glide and you want the touring model, be very careful, because of the previous generation limited Road Glide and Street Glide package that is a complete tour package with the rear trunk and the passenger seat. That motorcycle is the previous generation. This was just like I used to argue with people last year that when I bought this thing in August last year, 2023 CVO, so many were like, no, you didn't get the new CVO. It's a 24. If you bought a 23, it was very confusing. So Harley-Davidson on the trike side and on the touring, the real tour bike with the rear trunk, those bikes are still the previous generation motorcycle. So be careful if you go. So this is the new deal. If you want to go buy a brand new Street Glide or Road Glide, you have the option to accessorize it to be a real tour bike with a real trunk by you ordering those accessories, which your dealer, or if you're mechanical, you can install. So Harley-Davidson's got creative, and they're keeping the $25,999 the bike kind of at the base price. You can get a different color. But then if you want to add the tour pack, if you want to start accessorizing it, then at the end of the day, you're going to probably be back up to a $30,000, $31,000, $32,000 touring bike. But it's very creative on Harley, getting creative and them getting more efficient in their manufacturing side, where they're taking away from the guys having to put these bikes together, where they now let the dealer do that, which that's kind of creative. And once again, I'm sure it's Harley-Davidson having to look at their bottom line and cut costs and cut overhead. And so if you're a 2-man operation at the Harley-Davidson factory, you may be a 1-man operation. I mean, that's kind of where a lot of things are going. All right, that's kind of it. Kind of gets into long videos always. I like to talk. That's just kind of who I am. I like to share my love of what I do and what I have. And it's that time of the year where it's still kind of cold out, and it just isn't really riding day, but I have to go to work, and there just is no way. What I do every day of my life, I'm going to be riding around these things and doing what I'm doing, nor would I even do it anyways, because it's too cold. The roads are still pretty crappy. And, what's the next adventure? Oh, it's dangerous, because I've got a collection of bikes right now that I can maybe pull some triggers, pull some things, and have a different bike. But what would that be? I mean, in all sincereness, a lot of people, I'm sure, would say, get the Pan Am, CVO. But I tell you what, my left side of my body from jumping off and on those Cycadia, however you say it, that has really impacted my freaking left side of my leg and foot. I mean, I'm not lying. It's like, wow, what did I do? I mean, I just already know the adventure bike isn't going to work for me. Me having to launch myself off and on a bike, nope. I mean, those days are over. And as you progress in life, you want to still be walking on your 2 feet, which I'm sure many people that have progressed in life are like, yeah, man, I don't have that capability to walk on 2 feet like I used to. My freaking knees, my hips, my feet, my ankles. There's so many things as you get older in life that start to play out and change that. And that's what happens. And that's what I tell people all the time. The person who goes to the trike, typically that person has now had their day riding a motorcycle. They no longer can mount a motorcycle like they used to and hold it up. And they're forced to go to a trike. And that's why I kind of pulled back. I'm like, I don't want to ride a trike because it's like riding my freaking four-wheeler. Anybody out there that wants to buy a trike and hasn't ridden one, I can just totally say this. It's like riding a four-wheeler. It is a constant pressure of you controlling that bike and having to really manhandle that motorcycle, compared to a regular motorcycle. When anybody has a trike, not here being critical of the bike, I'm just saying, if you're a real motorcycle enthusiast and you've ridden a trike and ridden a motorcycle, this bike here is night and day from a trike. It's just two different machines. They're not in the same class because of how you have to ride them so much differently. And that's all I'm saying for anybody out there thinking about that. Make sure you ride one for a while to get a real taste of what it's really like riding one of those. All right, that's it. Once again, I'm going to stop talking. And that was my the 2 updates. So was it go to tomorrow? I'm sure it's going to be like, oh, yeah. We already know it because my phone's ringing. I got to answer it. So everybody, thanks for watching my channel. Appreciate all the comments, the support. God bless. Show the channel. Ask for an Ice Age TV YouTube sticker, Ice Age TV comments at gmail.com. I'll send you one. Have a great day.